Jersey at the Rutgers Athletic Center. Last time Rutgers was here, they knocked off a top 5 team for the first time in program history. Welcome to Big Ten Network Basketball, presented by Quicken Loans. Michigan comes to town, having won 3 of its last 4. Ready to take on a Rutgers team trying to move to 3-1 here at the RAC. Joe Davis, Dan Bonner, and no Karis LeVert for the first time. Michigan's leading scorer, leading rebounder, the only guy in the country among power conference teams to lead his team in all these categories, broke his foot on the final play of the win against Northwestern on Saturday and finished for the season. So let's check out tonight's Buffalo Wild Wings starting lineups. Here's the first one that we'll see from John Beilein without LeVert. It's Aubrey Dawkins getting his first career start as a result. Spike Albrecht after missing Saturday's game with an upper respiratory infection back into the lineup. Mack and Jack, the senior duo for this Rutgers team that's combined for more than half of their scoring in Big Ten play. But Bishop Daniels in 3 games since moving into the starting lineup has turned things around on the offensive end for the Scarlet Knights. It's Michigan to start with it, having won 3 of 4, but here's game 1 without Karis LeVert.
And Rutgers starts in the man-to-man, and one of the difficulties for Michigan will be how do they create shots other than through strictly passing and cutting on the offense. LeVert is a guy who could go and get his own. I'm not sure that they have anybody who fits that category at the moment.
Here's Zach Irvin, who is now their leading scorer with no LeVert, and he buries his first 3.
And that's what he does very well. He is an excellent three-point shooter. Very good start on the road here for Michigan.
Michigan relies on the 3 ball more than any other power conference team in the country. They get close to 40% of their points from outside.
And Michigan starts in a man-to-man as well. Rutgers very sloppy with the ball against Minnesota.
Kareem Jack getting contested at the rim by Doyle. Yeah, they shot about 50% in that game, Dan, but had 19 turnovers that led to 26 Minnesota points.
Of course, John Beilein in his 8th season as the Michigan head coach, his team does not play the same type of pressing style, but that Rutgers still has to be very careful with the basketball.
Shot clock winding down. Daniels recognizes, gets rid of it, and knocks it down. Bishop Daniels quietly is providing quite a spark for this offense.
Eddie Jordan told us this afternoon that he thought one of the reasons that Rutgers was playing better on offense is because they were getting up and down the court a little bit more quickly, and that Bishop Daniels was the guy who was leading the way in that category.
Yeah, despite all those turnovers on Saturday, they scored a season-high 80 points. Walton's contested 3 was short, and then a foul called on Ricky Doyle. First foul of the game. Here's Daniels knocking down his first shot.
Well, Daniels is a guy who's not noted as a jump shooter, but that was a desperation heave. He was on balance. It was against tough defense. Daniels, you can see, much better in conference play than in non-conference play. His game is taking the ball and driving it to the basket.
Last 3 games, this offense is hit right at 50%. Prior to that, they've gone 17 games in a row without reaching the 50% clip in a single game. And again, that's corresponded with Eddie Jordan moving Bishop Daniels into his starting 5. Eddie Jordan played here at Rutgers, and his junior season ended against Michigan in the 1976 Final Four. First loss that team suffered. Miles Mack at a game-high 26 against Minnesota. He's the kind of guy that can carry it.
Boy, he sure can. This is a Rutgers team, remember, that scored as a team a total of 26 against Virginia. And Mack scored 26 by himself against Minnesota. Mack is a guy who, once he gets hot, you simply cannot guard him.
Irvin given some room, works against junior E2, and with a reverse off the mark, E2, one of the top rebounders in the Big Ten, pulls it in.
And you see Mack trying to push it up the court. And here's Bishop Daniels. He's a guy who likes to get going quickly, sometimes too quickly, but was able to recover that time.
One of the things that Daniels moving into the lineup has allowed Rutgers to do is move Mack off of the ball and get him some more looks as a shooter. The shot clock winding down, and move him off the ball again. Here's E2 against Dawkins. Hit all 4 of his shots against Minnesota. Misses his first of this one.
E2's got a little bit of a bulk advantage against Dawkins. If he's going to shoot that turnaround jumper, he needs to get closer to the basket. A much more low post kind of game, I think, is required of E2 this evening.
Mike Albrecht missed his first game in a Michigan uniform Saturday with an upper respiratory infection. And has a clean look from the corner. It pops out. Rebound pulled in by Mack. He pushes 1-on-2 and gets fouled by Irvin. That cold was going around the team. You and I were joking around this afternoon. We thought about maybe not being in shoot-around.
Well, not the Michigan shoot-around. No, Doyle was sick. Albrecht was sick. Irvin was taking medication for it. John Beilein, though, is a guy who has approached this in a very positive manner with all his guys sick, hurt. So this just means more opportunity for other players.
Yeah, he said, 39 minutes were played by Karis LeVert in the win against Northwestern on Saturday. 19 shots were taken by Karis LeVert. So there's 39 minutes for somebody. There's 19 shots for somebody to be taken.
That is really a glass half full kind of attitude right there.
Again, tipped out of bounds by Michigan.
Now, one of the problems here for Michigan is Zach Irvin just picked up that foul. And so, given how short-handed they are overall, Irvin has to be very careful. He cannot afford to pick up his second foul here anytime very soon. Anytime in the first half, really.
That's a carry on E2. Again, Rutgers turned it over 19 times against Minnesota on Saturday and only lost by 9. Eddie Jordan said he addressed it to his team and said, look, guys, that's 19 shots that you didn't take, and he still only lost by single digits.
They said it's like starting the game behind 20-0.
Hard to do on the road. Next, Bielfeldt with a nice-looking bank shot. Only senior on this Michigan roster.
And Bielfeldt is a guy who can shoot the three. That was not a three, but he's a guy who can shoot it. Can't give him that much room.
Mack got
look at that dribble.
Feet, left it off for Lewis, who was fouled, and there's the second.
There's that second foul.
Critical for a team lacking depth now with a LeVert injury.
I know what the people from Rutgers have been saying about getting the ball out of Mack's hands, but why would you want the ball out of that guy's hands? I mean, that was a tremendous hesitation dribble there. Got the defender up in the air, created a great passing lane.
Greg Lewis goes to the line. 64% free throw shooter, hits his first.
So now it just went from bad to worse because your second best player behind LeVert is Irvin. And now Irvin has to go out of the game with 2 personal fouls. And we haven't played 4 minutes yet.
They bring a struggling Cameron Chapman in. The freshman has averaged under 2 points per game in the Big Ten.
And a Chapman who is having problems with his knee, has a swollen knee. So another one of those guys a little bit banged up for Michigan.
Some pressure from Rutgers. A lot of youth on the floor for this Michigan team. One of the youngest in the Big Ten. Here's Chapman drawing the foul on E2. It's his first. Rutgers with an early 2-point lead in the 6th all-time meeting between these two programs. 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Only power conference player in the country to lead his team in scoring, rebounding, block shots, and assists. Here's the final sequence on Saturday against Northwestern. He misses the jumper that would have put him up by 2 shots. And so Northwestern had a chance here to tie the game. Brian McIntosh with an open look that went off of the rim, and on the scramble for the rebound, you see LeVert collapsing there at the edge of the arc. And amidst all the celebration with a win, a broken foot. And he is finished for the season. We welcome inside Joe Davis, Dan Bonner. It's a Michigan team that was already one of the youngest in the Big Ten. They get a lot younger now and got to figure out how to move forward.
Well, they have to figure out how to move forward. And, one of their keys was going to be Zach Irvin. He was going to have to raise his level of play. But he picked up 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes. And so without LeVert and now with Irvin on the bench with fouls, almost half of the Michigan offense is not currently available to the Wolverines.
They went with Cameron Chapman, the freshman, with Irvin leaving the game. Aubrey Dawkins making his first career start. Can't hit, but there's Chapman following the miss for his first 2.
And Chapman is a guy who's going to have to make some contributions. He started early in the season and has recently gone to the bench, but he's going to have to make some contributions. Now, here's that 1-3-1 zone that is sort of a staple of John Beilein teams.
Rutgers working against it for the first time. Daniels too strong with a pull-up. Michigan went to it against Minnesota a week and a half ago to come from behind in the second half. They went to it on Saturday to shut down Northwestern's Alex Ola. They come from behind to win that game. Here they go to it much earlier in the game. Wide open look for Walton. Bielfeldt can't follow. Into the hands of Mack.
And Walton, remember, he's a guy who's playing with a turf toe injury, has played with it for about 13 or 14 games now. Very difficult for him to move as effectively as he would like to move. There's another turnover.
Jack called for the travel. And again, Zach Irvin already on the bench for Michigan with his 2 fouls. One of the Big Ten's youngest teams, 5 freshmen in the rotation. Now just 2 upperclassmen available. The sophomore Irvin, who's their second leading scorer. Another leading scorer with Levert gone. Has to sit a couple of minutes into this game. Walton with a crossover. Finds Chapman, who passes up the 3. Can't hit on the drive, and then a foul on the rebound goes on Rutgers. Well, this is when you go back to from last year's team, what they've lost. You got 3 guys who've gone to the NBA. Jordan Morgan, who was a great leader for the team, graduated. John Horford transferred to Florida. Now Karis LeVert done for the season with an injury.
It's a great testament to John Beilein and his coaching staff that those 3 guys at the top of the list went to the NBA, because when they were being recruited out of high school, nobody was talking about those guys as being early entry NBA players. And that really messes up your recruiting a little bit when the guys are so good that they go earlier than you plan.
Similar to, like, you look at Wisconsin, they'd have a hard time playing with freshmen. They're not designed to recruit kids ready to play right away. They got veteran guys. And for the most part, they've had guys stay. Michigan was counting on the same thing for those early departures, like you said, have kind of thrown a wrench into things. Bielfeldt can't hit, rebound Jack.
This is a Michigan team that relies heavily on the jump shot, whether it be the 2 or the 3. They don't get to the free throw line a lot. They don't take the ball inside a lot. So if they're going to miss those jump shots, then they might have a problem. In fact, they will have a problem.
Yeah.
No mind about it.
Only 3 power conference teams in the country rely on the 2 less than Michigan does. Bielfeldt gets fouled by Mike Williams, so we'll go to the line for 2 shots.
It's a Michigan team that relies heavily on the 3-point basket, and that is nothing really new. But that heavy reliance on the 3-point basket and very low reliance on the 2 is very interesting. Now, 351 teams in Division I, so that shows you Michigan is very, very close to the bottom.
And kind of more of the same here. Bielfeldt, who just got fouled. They drew blood on the foul, so he's got to go to the sideline to get that cleaned up. For the moment, they've brought Sean Lonergan to the scorer's table, who's played a total of 15 minutes all season.
Well, it doesn't look like it's a serious bleeding issue, and he's the free throw shooter, so they'll try to get him back in there.
Big Ten Digital Network is now BTN Plus, available on BTN to go. Subscribe to BTN Plus, gain access to hundreds of non-televised games, and enjoy them on more platforms wherever you are. Get BTN Plus now, available on BTN to go.
And Joe, that appears to be a little scratch cut on his neck, and that's a hard thing to get the bleeding stopped. You can't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that just a Band-Aid is going to work there, but here he comes.
Got to use all the tricks that you use when you nick yourself shaving. Put a little deodorant on there. That usually seals it up. Looks like they've got him fixed to the point where the officials are happy. Bielfeldt will head to the line for 2 shots.
Now, Bielfeldt entered the game when Boyle picked up his first foul early, and Michigan coaching staff doesn't mind rotating 3 guys through that interior position.
Couple of freshmen and his senior in Bielfeldt, Doyle and Donnell. Majority of the time play at the 5 spot, but Bielfeldt gave him some really good minutes, helping slow Alex Ola on Saturday of Northwestern. Played 16 minutes in the second half, with Doyle missing the entire half with a cold. They'll sit Bielfeldt down after making 1 of 2 and bring Donnell back in.
And this is a different kind of challenge for the Michigan inside game tonight, because Kadeem Jack, much more mobile, much quicker, obviously smaller than Alex Ola, so it's a different kind of affair tonight. And here, Wolverines drop back into the zone.
Jack still looking for his first points. 11 in white. Working the baseline against the zone.
Mike Williams in the game. He's Rutgers shooting designated shooter. And there's the guy we're talking about, Kadeem Jack. He is so effective in that area around the lane. That time, a very nice turnaround jump shot. Nice movement without the ball.
First points of the game for the fifth-year senior. We will likely get two more here with Abdur Rahman hustling back to make it a difficult finish for Jack, who's got back-to-back buckets.
Can't do a much better job than Abdur Rahman just did. But there they lose it again. That's twice in a row now. They've allowed Rutgers to get out here in transition.
But they call Foreman for the offensive foul, his first.
Well, we talked about the mobility of Kadeem Jack. He does such a nice job moving without the basketball, gets himself turned facing the basket very quickly. And then this is the kind of athletic ability he has. He steps right through a very good defensive play and makes a tough shot.
19 in the win against Minnesota with Miles Mack. Combined to score more than half of the team's points over the last 3 games. As they've cranked things up on the offensive end. Walton drawing the contact. Looks like Kone. And it is Kone getting called for his second, sending Walton to the line.
Now, early in the ball game, when Michigan took the ball from the perimeter and drove it to the basket, everybody was driving to pass. That time, Walton drew the defense and tried to force it up through.
Even greater load will fall on Derek Walton now with LeVert out. He's battled admirably with that toe injury. Played all 40 minutes dealing with that toe injury. They say that it's become a foot injury now as he's trying to favor different parts of the foot.
Well, he's trying to compensate for the toe being so sore, and so now he's got a sore foot. And just try to be a guy who relies on quickness if you have a bad wheel. And that's the problem facing him.
Sean Beilein going to get him a rest, something he wasn't able to do against Northwestern. And into the game for the first time this year is Andrew Dockage, sophomore from Indiana, wearing 11 in Navy.
And they were talking about redshirting him, so this is an indication of what Michigan has had to do. A kid they were planning on redshirting now comes into the ball game to play because they simply don't have enough guys.
3 freshmen and a couple of sophomores seldom used on the floor right now for Michigan. And Jack making it look like it with a rebound over Lonergan.
Jack, one of the top inside players in the Big Ten. Lonergan works very hard, but he's a walk-on. That's a mismatch.
He's only played 15 minutes all year coming into this game. Kone work in the middle of that zone. Here's Mack against Dockage. Kone working hard. Donnell up for the rebound. Boy, if you had told Michigan fans, Dan, that this 5 would be on the floor in the first half of a Big Ten game midway through the year, I think they would have told you were crazy.
Absolutely. They would have wondered what was wrong with you, sir.
Yeah. Abdur Rahman with a stop and start to finish.
So I think, again, Rutgers was playing for the pass, but Michigan taking advantage of that, driving it all the way to the basket. Remember, Rutgers is a team that does not shoot it particularly well, so this zone could be a very positive weapon.
They call Abdur Rahman for the foul, and the guy that had 9, a career high in his first career start on Saturday, has his first 2 tonight, and Michigan in front by a point. Rutgers, the birthplace of football, and during that break, inside the rack, they honored the Rutgers' most recent football team for their Quick Lane Bowl win over North Carolina up in Detroit over the holidays. Successful first season of the Big Ten for them. And the basketball team trying to follow that up with a good stretch here, trailing Michigan by 1. Trying to move to 3-1 in this building in Big Ten home games. 10-9 overall, 2-4 in the conference. Under Eddie Jordan in his second season as the head coach.
And Eddie Jordan knows that with this lineup in the game, He'll probably see a lot of zone. Man-to-man now. Dockich gets a hand on it and knocks it out of bounds. I think what you'll see John Beilein do is try to switch up his defenses. And they're dropping back into a zone. That's a 2-3 right there. Miles Mack has only attempted one shot so far in this game.
There's a 3 and he made it. Here's Jack.
There you go.
Open Mack. Catch and shoot. Got it.
That's the correct play right there. The defense collapses. I'd be looking every time for Miles Mack.
He's knocked down both of his threes. He hit 4 of them on his way to a game-high 26 on Saturday. Abdur Rahman working against Williams.
Where's the scoring going to come from?
Lonergan.
Okay.
His second field goal attempt of the year, and he's made both.
So he's a high percentage shooter. Get him the ball. He's hot.
Leading the country in field goal percentage.
He's very hot.
If you had Sean Lonergan in your field goal percentage pool, you're a winner. Foreman had it knocked away.
Now what we're talking about here, you get the defense to collapse and then you throw it out to a shooter, and usually it's a diagonal. Right there, Jack has the ball. Look, nobody around at all. And so we're able to, all 5 guys are down in the lane, and Dockich tries to get back to Mack, but that's a losing proposition, particularly the way Mack has been shooting the ball over the last few games.
They give him some room here, but he's patient with the shot clock winding down inside the 10. Lewis screening. Mack gave up his dribble. Here's Jack. Tough angle bank shot, no. And a rebound for Lonergan. A couple of sophomores and 3 freshmen on the floor for Michigan right now. The first game without Karis LeVert. Here's one of the freshmen in Chapman.
It's a good job by Mack to probe quickly to see what was there and then pull it back out.
This team won't get up and down quite as fast with Bishop Daniels not in the game. He's not right now. Lewis cleans up the offensive glass and gets his first field goal.
Michigan is not a very strong offensive or defensive rebounding team anyway.
Last in the Big Ten in rebounding. That was a big concern for John Beilein. Rutgers solid on the offensive glass. That's a travel.
Well, that was a big concern by John Beilein before he knew he would be playing this lineup.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about here, the rebounding. You can see Lewis gets in there, just nobody able to compete with his size and strength on the inside.
And wins, they've been okay rebounding. And losses, they've been miserable. They were -9 in the win against Northwestern on Saturday. And again, Karis LeVert, who they've lost, is their leading scorer, but he's also their leading rebounder. So there's 5 rebounds a game. They're having to replace E.J. Foreman with a tough take that was contested. And with a fresh group out there for Michigan, here's Walton. Ricky Doyle back in, battling that cold. Only 4 points over the last 2 games for the freshman. Working against Lewis, who plays good D.
He had the side cleared for him there, but that was just a very fine defensive effort. And there Lonergan is going to pick up a foul trying to guard Jack.
That is his first. The Rutgers fans got to see what Minnesota's capable of on Saturday when they put up 89 in the 89-80 win against Rutgers. They take on Nebraska when we finish. Presented by Quicken Loans on BTN and BTN to go. That brings us to our Reese's Perfect Combination tonight. That game will feature the top scoring duo in the Big Ten.
Well, Petaway and Shields, those guys are the ultimate prototype of hard to guard. And when you start the game figuring you're going to get that almost 36 points a game, that's pretty good comfort level. And speaking of comfort levels, Zach Irvin, he's comfortable over on the bench, but that means his coach is not very comfortable. He played fewer than 4 minutes in today's game, picked up 2 fouls, and that has been a real problem for the Michigan Wolverines. That's one of the big stories of this first half.
John Beilein told us before the game they're back in discovery mode now, like you are going into a season. Even though we're partway through the Big Ten schedule, so far he's not discovered a whole lot. Nobody with more than 3 points for Michigan.
Well, he's discovered, though, that his guys are hanging in there.
Williams spinning, known as more of a shooter, able to get an offensive rebound. And then lost it out of bounds. Williams with an 0 for 2 on that trip.
Just not a very good rebounding team in the game right at the moment for the Michigan Wolverines. Very small, and guys who really are more perimeter players trying to battle on the boards. You wonder with Doyle whether that chest congestion is still bothering him.
Well, we saw him at shoot-around today, and let's just say we didn't want to get anywhere near him. We're still having some problems breathing, coughing.
Yeah, he was hacking and coughing this afternoon.
Bielefeld is back in. His 3 points lead Michigan. Lewis went straight up and contested the shot. Shot clock never reset. Possession never changed hands. 5 to shoot for Albrecht, who launches. Dawkins flies in for the rebound. The freshman making his first career start makes his first impact.
Boy, he really got up in the air, but that's his reputation as a great leaper. And who did he remind you of shooting that ball with his left hand? The guy looks exactly like his dad.
Head coach at Stanford.
Yeah, he's a little bit longer than his dad. And he's right-handed, so that left-handed shot that's a familiar look.
Now he gets a loose ball and gets hit from behind by Lewis, who's whistled for the foul. Dawkins giving him some good minutes here.
And Dawkins, he had a big game against Illinois. And he's out of your screen, and watch him come flying into your screen. Nobody blocks him out. Up he goes, gets the dribble, clears some space with the left hand, and knocks it down.
At 20 points against Illinois on December 30th.
Well, he's noted for his shooting ability and his jumping ability, and he showed his jumping ability right there and displayed that shooting ability in the game against Illinois.
Yeah, hit 6 threes in that game. Outside of that performance, though, he's averaged only 2 points per game the rest of the year. Albrecht steps inside. Nifty ball handling to get back to the perimeter. And it's thrown away. He
was throwing that to Dawkins, and Lonergan put his hand in there. He thought it was to him. That looked like a high-flying dunk just ready to happen. Lonergan didn't know Dawkins was behind him.
Michigan learning to play together. Again, discovery mode for a team that has dealt with injuries and youth. Mack thought about it with the shot clock winding down. It's Jack. Unable to finish through contact.
Good block out by Walt.
Dawkins left alone. Nobody picked him up in transition, and he took advantage to give Michigan the lead.
Michigan is a team that has struggled shooting the three so far today, and even if you don't want to particularly play fast, that wide open look in transition is something I think Michigan has to take.
2 for 8 now from outside for a team that relies on the three so heavily.
Well, they rely on the three. They're going to continue to rely on the three. They've got to figure out a way to get open threes, and in transition is an excellent way.
The zone giving Rutgers issues. Shot clock inside of 5. Mack against Walton. Off the back iron. Jack unable to pull down the board. Michigan looks to run. And Walton carried it.
And Dawkins was going to find that three-point line again on that play. This play, he does find the three-point line. Nobody anywhere close to him. Young man does a great job getting his feet set. Shoots that ball with an awful lot of confidence.
Freshman from Palo Alto, California. Bielefeld took a chance on Jack, then recovered. And Daniels had it knocked away by Albrecht.
Showing a little bit of pressure there. Just changing things up, giving Rutgers something different to look at.
Bielefeld can shoot it.
6 for 15 from behind the arc coming in.
He too will head to the line for 2 shots off of a nice feed.
And Rutgers has been having a little bit of trouble against the set defense, and one of the ways you beat that is just get going down the court. Of course, it doesn't help the camera.
No.
When a guy the size of E2 lands in the lap.
6'7", 230. Finished just short of a double-double against Minnesota on Saturday. 9 points, 10 boards. Rutgers, one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the Big Ten of the season so far today. 2 for 3.
E2 is not a bad free throw shooter there, 75%.
Of 2 on this trip. They really can count on Spike Albrecht's leadership ability now. The junior team captain, 2 in blue. One of our only upperclassmen available to him.
Here, Bielfeldt and Donnell are in the game at the same time.
Walton can't hit. Rebound Lewis. This is about as big of a lineup as you're going to see Michigan have.
Looks like they're trying to match up man-to-man.
Mack left alone. Rarely will he miss with that much room. Donnell tipped up by Bielfeldt and then controlled by Mack.
Again, Michigan doesn't mind shooting the ball early in the offense, but I don't know that that's the shot that they want from Donnell.
Here's Jack bullying his way through Bielfeldt, finding E2. Back into Jack with a turnaround.
He's really good from that spot with that shot. That's the second one of those he's made today. Didn't bank that one in, though, but it still was a very nice-looking shot.
He's got 6. Key with him has always been the consistency and embracing what he is good at, not settling for outside jumpers. Walton trying to slip it inside to Donnell. It was knocked out inside of 3 minutes in this first half.
And this is the situation we talked about Jack. When he's on his game, he is very, very good. And this is his game right there. 1 point to a ball game.
Trying to win its first game without Karis LeVert with a 1-point lead over Rutgers. Big night in the Big Ten. Wisconsin and Iowa will get going in a top 25 matchup a little bit later on in Madison. Iowa, the only unbeaten team on the road in the Big Ten. Later this week, how about the Maryland-Indiana game Thursday night taking place in Bloomington? Maryland sure was impressive on Saturday, whooping on Michigan State.
That is a very good Maryland team. They seem to be playing very well together right at the moment. And that matchup against Indiana has a chance to be some ball game. Each of those teams can score.
And this one, opposite case as far as scoring. Both teams shooting around 30%. Neither team has reached the 20-point mark. 2.5 left. It's Aubrey Dawkins making his first start for Michigan. He's got 5 to lead the Wolverines. They've been without Zach Irvin for much of this half with 2 fouls. Shot clock winding down. It's Bielfeldt beating the shot clock with a 3 that wouldn't go.
Now 2 for 11 from behind the arc for Michigan. With as much as they shoot the 3, and they shoot the 3 on about 42% of their made field goal attempts. They've really got to make about 40% to be effective.
Lewis knocks down the jumper. On the floor more for his defense, but he's got 6 early points, time for the team lead.
Lewis is almost a 50% shooter, so doesn't get a lot of shots, but when he does, he's generally pretty effective.
Dawkins. Michigan continues to struggle from outside.
Now, you're not going to see them change it up. They're going to continue to shoot that 3. That was an open one. It just did not go down.
E2 with a clean look. Good box out from Donnell.
I think the Wolverines are going to need some offense from Albright.
Right now it's Donnell giving him a 3. His first points of the game. And only the second Big Ten game out of 7 that he's scored in. State Farm halftime coming up. Just over a minute. Michigan in front by 2.
And again, the zone defense for Michigan has really forced Rutgers to stand around a little bit. And now we get an offensive foul called, I think. Yes.
It is. We were talking about Michigan and its reliance on the three ball. When they're able to hit threes, got a pretty good chance. Look at the differences in their three-point percentages in wins versus losses.
Much as they shoot the three, as heavily as they rely on the three, if they're making a lot less than 40%, then they're in trouble. 3 of 13 this evening.
Foul is on Jack, only his first. 16 foul. Mack steps in front of the pass, and Miles Mack swoops inside the finish and tie the game at 22.
Miles Mack is the guy who just makes plays. His team's struggling in a half-court offense, so he decides, okay, he's not going to play that half-court offense. Get out there and transition.
Abdur-Rahman tries to answer with a reverse. Then Bielefeld gets fouled by Jack, which will lead to a 1-and-1 for the senior.
And Mack just keeps following the ball. A bad pass. He steps right in front of Albrecht and lays it in. That's just a really good player making a really good play. I don't think Albrecht knew he was that close because Albrecht did not step into the basketball.
Foul was on Jack, his second.
And remember, Jack just picked up a really odd offensive foul down on the other end, an unnecessary offensive foul. Okoro comes into the game now for the last 21 seconds of this first half.
Bielefeld earns his second. Good contributions for him today. 4 points with 7 rebounds.
Now, if this afternoon we had told John Beilein that Zach Irvin was going to barely play at all in the first half and he had a chance to be ahead at halftime, what do you think he'd have said?
If he's holding a team that's coming off an 80-point performance to 22 in addition to that, I think he'd be really happy.
Well, I think if you would have suggested that, he might have thrown you out of the gym because I think that's just a
crazy talk.
Yeah.
Michigan, no doubt, has the right guy running the show to try and survive a situation such as this one. Yet without their top player now, already a young team. Could be the final possession of the half. As Mack finds Okoro. Chapman tips it into the corner and touches it last. So Rutgers will inbound with 3.3.
I think if I'm Eddie Jordan and anybody besides Mack takes the shot, I'm going to have a serious talk at halftime.
See if he can get free. Abdur-Rahman all over him. Still able to get it into him. And his three's off the iron to bring this first half to a close with Michigan in front by 2. Trying to get their 4th win out of the last 5, but a significant one with it being the first without Caris LeVert. Rutgers trying to move to 3-1 in Big Ten home games, playing in their first game here since beating 4th-ranked Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago. After the break, Mike Hall and the crew will handle halftime duties on the State Farm halftime report. At the break in Piscataway, Michigan 24, Rutgers 22. Halftime entertainment here at the Rack. The amazing David Garibaldi, Rhythm and Hue, this act is called. He speed painted this portrait of the Scarlet Knight.
Well, that is one fast guy right there. The teams could use somebody with that kind of quickness.
Yeah. And we welcome you back inside the Rack. Joe Davis, Dan Bonner, Michigan playing its first game without Caris LeVert. Zach Irvin, their second leading scorer, and now the leading scorer with no LeVert, plays just 4 minutes, but here they are with a narrow lead.
Well, not only that, they shoot under 25% from beyond the three-point arc, and yet their defense was good enough that they've got a 2-point lead.
How about Kadeem Jack doing more of the same for Rutgers? Really impressive.
Well, we talked about Kadeem Jack before the game and his versatility, and I think that's what we've seen here. The jump shot in the hole in that zone, then he's able to get out and run the court extremely well and finish in transition. Then when the zone collapses on him, he can find his open teammate Miles Mack. Mack drops it down, and then with no double team coming, he can hit the fadeaway jump shot. So Kadeem Jack had a very solid first half. You can see Miles Mack, he had 8 points, and how about that? Max Bielefeld, the leading scorer for the Michigan Wolverines.
Those are auto owners game leaders.
Bielefeld had those 5 points. He had 6 rebounds to go along with it.
So away we go in this second half. Zach Irvin is on the floor for Michigan for the first time since the 16-minute mark when he went out with the 2 fouls.
Playing the top of that 1-3-1 zone. And Rutgers has struggled against the zone. They've sort of stood around.
How about Kadeem Jack? We showed you the versatility in the first half. He adds to it with his 10th 3 of the season.
Well, he's not a great three-point shooter, but he had a lot of time and space. And I think that's big for Rutgers coming out of the halftime locker room to score immediately against that zone.
Irvin back into the game in a big way. His second 3 ball. Lewis wasn't ready for the pass from Mack.
And that's a break for Michigan. They were trying to decide what defense they were going to play. Now, the first time out there playing that 1-3-1 zone, and a really nice job by Bishop Daniels to see the zone moving one way, pass it back against that motion, and find the open man.
Michigan played 11 players during that first half, 9 of whom were underclassmen. This is one of the only upperclassmen, Spike Albrecht.
And Albrecht didn't score in the first half, and you would expect if Michigan's going to have success that Albrecht is going to have to score some points.
Dawkins, one of the freshmen, had 5 in the first half. Leans inside and uses the left hand to get a good look. That's cleared by Jack.
Well, he did everything but finish that shot, and I think Michigan needs to do more of that. They can't just settle for that outside jump shot. Dawkins does a very, very nice job getting to the basket, although it looks like he may have hurt himself. He's grabbing his ribs.
Goes without saying, Michigan can't afford another player to go down. Matt goes by Walton with a step back. Rolls over the backboard. Albrecht clears it. Keep an eye on 24 in Navy. It's okay coming back down the floor that time.
Yeah, well, you're always better on offense than on defense.
Yeah, especially when you're a freshman.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Those little bumps and bruises, they hurt when you're playing defense. But once you play offense, you recover quickly.
Here's Irvin. Puts it on the deck. Leans against E2. This guy, when they went on the Italy trip, and Karis LeVert was still recovering from his previous foot injury, carried Michigan. Averaged more than 20 points per game.
And that's one of the ways he did it. Not settling for just the three-point shot, but making himself a driver and a much more potent offensive threat.
8 now to lead Michigan. After playing just 4 minutes in the first half with 2 fouls. E2 in the middle of the zone. Defense collapse, got it back, and left it short.
Michigan rebounding very well out of the zone.
Dawkins looked just fine there.
Boy, he can really move and jump. What a nice-looking player he is.
And what a nice-looking start to this second half for Michigan. The 6-point lead, the largest for either team. Guys getting an increased role with the LeVert injury is Aubrey Dawkins.
And Aubrey Dawkins has so far made the most of his opportunity. There's an offensive rebound, and he puts it back in, runs the floor in transition, knocks down the 3. Battling for the loose ball right there. Looked like maybe he hurt himself, but no, we were wrong. Here he comes flying in and scored. He had 7 points in the game to go along with a couple of rebounds. And remember what John Beilein talked about as soon as Karis LeVert got hurt. And you mentioned there'd be 39 minutes available. There'd be shots available. And Aubrey Dawkins has taken up a lot of the slack so far in this game.
20 points against Illinois late in December. Has only averaged 2 points per game the rest of the season. Doyle's back in the game playing good defense. And here's Dawkins again with a chance to get a couple of free throws.
That was actually a very good play by Miles Mack because Dawkins was ahead of the pack. And Mack was able to get in front and prevent Dawkins from really getting a flying start at the basket. Michigan not afraid to run when they have the opportunity. Dawkins goes right at Mack, trying to get him out of there. Draws the foul.
First one on Mack. First free throw for Dawkins. One more coming.
That was only Dawkins' 5th free throw attempt on the season.
Only one Big Ten team gets to the line less than the Wolverines. One of their best penetrators was LeVert, so you can figure that number will go down even.
Well, but Dawkins looks to me like he has all the tools to be a guy who can slash to the basket.
You said it. John Beilein noted right away it'd be an opportunity for other players to step up. Is Dawkins the guy that emerges with LeVert out?
Playing that zone. We've seen the 1-3-1. This looks more like the 2-3. But whatever zone it's been, Rutgers has really struggled. A lot of standing around.
Bad spacing. Foreman goes into the middle and nearly turns it over. Only 2 to shoot. It's Mack. And a good defensive possession for Michigan.
Rutgers has not been good on the offensive end throughout this game, but here particularly at the start of the second half. A lot of standing around. They're not getting good opportunities.
Irvin given room, instead drives against Jack and travels.
We talked about Kadeem Jack's offense at halftime, but that was pretty good defense, moving his feet against a quicker player. Now, Rutgers has struggled on offense throughout the season, but you see, the last 3 games, they've been very good. Not so tonight.
A lot of that has had to do with Bishop Daniels moving into the starting lineup. Here's Foreman, somehow no call, but then it came from the sideline. The official underneath didn't blow the whistle, and everybody collectively wondered why. And then the call did come.
Boy, Foreman drives in there, and he just bounces straight out. That's a foul call on Doyle. Michigan leads.
Dan plus, what do you thought of the way they've begun to replace Karis LeVert?
Well, I think they've done what they've needed to do. They've really been solid defensively. You heard John Beilein say they're going to continue to vary their defenses. I think that variation in defenses has really caused some problems for Rutgers. And as we just showed you, Rutgers not the world's greatest offensive team, and they have struggled a little bit. Now, Foreman taking the ball out of bounds here, just drove the ball at the basket, and I think that's the solution for Rutgers. They have to be more aggressive. Too much standing around. Michigan goes back to the man-to-man. Here's a mismatch inside.
And Jack tries to take advantage, but misses point blank. And Rutgers has begun the second half 1 for 8. Michigan, meanwhile, has hit 3 of its first 4 shots after hitting below 30% in the first half.
Nice defensive job by Walton and Albrecht that time, forcing Jack into a little bit tougher shot than he anticipated.
Irvin given room. Strong rebound for Foreman.
See, now I think you got to push it. Here's Bishop Daniels. That's what he likes to do, is push.
Nobody stopped the ball, and he snapped an 8-0 Michigan run.
And that's the aggressiveness that I'm talking about, Joe. Rutgers has to get this game moving up and down.
Back to within 5.
So I think Irvin can take Foreman off the dribble. Let's see if he tries that.
Instead, it's Albrecht getting cut off on the baseline and stepping out of bounds. Better defense from Rutgers that time.
Well, we talked to Eddie Jordan this afternoon. He attributed his team's offensive improvement over the last 3 games to this guy, Bishop Daniels, and because Daniels likes to push the ball up the court. Perfect example of it right there.
With Daniels bringing the ball up, Mack moves off of the ball. Let's see if Rutgers can get him loose. Just got their first field goal in 5 minutes on that previous possession.
They'll want to have the ball stick in one guy's hands against this zone. Move it and drive it.
And
just like that.
Getting fouled will head to the line.
Nice job. A couple of quick passes. Get the ball inside, and then Jack goes and attacks on the dribble. Nice pass inside by Foreman. No hesitation at all there by Jack. He felt the presence of Donnell on the free throw line side, and so he went to the baseline side.
Part of this senior group, you hear all about Mack and Jack, but like you said, Bishop Daniels' emergence, junior out of Raleigh, North Carolina, has been big, helping the other 2 out. Two for Jack on that trip. Foul goes on Foreman away from the ball, chasing Irvin.
Well, I think Irvin's got to keep moving because that is a tough matchup for Foreman. Foreman knows it. So the more Irvin moves, I think the more opportunity he's going to get.
Second one on Foreman.
Now, this is a Michigan team, since they rely so heavily on the jump shot, they are prone to long scoring droughts as well.
Walton throws it out of bounds, wanted Irvin to cut baseline. 9th Michigan turnover.
And that was a good idea, but Irvin did not see the play the same way Walton did. And remember John Beeline, we just showed you talking about the basketball IQ. Well, that was the situation where they need to work on that a little bit. Here's the zone.
This is the most experienced five that Michigan can put out there. It still involves a freshman, a couple of sophomores. Here's Daniels going by Irvin. Forming the offensive ball, and he cleans it up.
Even that small bit of dribble penetration forces the defense to react in a manner that makes defensive rebounding difficult.
First points of the night for the freshman. Rutgers back to within 3.
This is where, if you're Michigan, you're going to miss Levert. You need somebody to go get you a basket.
Albrecht against Mack. Shot clock inside at 10. Irvin with a screen. Pops. Shoots. And it pops out with a rebound from Lewis.
Nice job. After everything except making the shot.
Mack drawing the foul on Bielfeldt.
And we talked about Rutgers needing to be more aggressive. Well, Bishop Daniels with the aggressive move to the baseline. Dawkins a little overmatched trying to block out DJ Foreman.
Rutgers only 2 for 6 at the foul line today. They're sending the right guy there this time.
I think that is the discussion. Was he shooting or was he passing? I think he was passing the ball.
So do the officials. So instead of 2 shots, Rutgers will have to inbound. No, they changed their mind again. They did.
I'm not sure they ever changed their mind. He was at the free throw line, but you know, is he shooting this ball? Hard to tell right there. But since there was nobody around to pass to, I think I'm giving Miles Mack the benefit of the doubt.
So he does get 2 shots. Senior from Patterson, New Jersey. 4-year starter for Rutgers. Been a team captain 3 times. He's one of the guys that's hung around through all the ups and downs his program has been through over the last couple of years.
What a nice response here by Rutgers, Joe.
They get back to within 1 after Michigan had gone on an 8-0 run to open its largest lead of the game.
Daniels doing a great job moving his feet defensively. Very nearly forced a 10-second count.
Abdur-Rahman on the take.
That is some play by that kid. That's exactly what you need to do against that kind of defensive pressure. Take the ball, go around it, get all the way to the basket.
Mack thought about it. Walt put a hand in the face. Here's Jack knocking down the baseline jumper.
You know, he made that 1 3-point shot, but his game, to me, at 15, 16 feet and in, he is really good.
Into double figures now. Back to a 1-point game. Walt looking for his first field goal. Finds Abdur-Rahman, who gets blocked by Daniels. Rutgers with a chance for the lead. Daniels into the corner. Mack short with a 3. Irvin with a rebound.
Not going to see Mack miss very many like that.
Just a couple wide open looks tonight. Walton for 3. Rutgers has battled back to within 1 with 11:17 left. To take the lead against Michigan, trying to move to 3-1 in Big Ten home games. Shot clock inside of 10 against the zone. It's Daniels juggling with 3 to shoot. And Bishop Daniels with a step back for the Rutgers lead. finish. Rebound Foreman. It's Mack slicing inside, finding Kone. Off of Abdur-Rahman, stays on this end. 10-2 Rutgers run, and Bishop Daniels putting the Scarlet Knights in front.
This looks an awful lot like the first field goal of the game for Rutgers. Stepping back, shot clock running down, and Bishop Daniels, what a big contribution he has made in a game Rutgers now leads.
Basketball on BTN is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Highest in customer satisfaction. Find your local agent at AutoOwners.com. Class back in session this week. Students starting to get into it as Rutgers has gone on a run to go up 1. 10-19 left in this one. Here's tonight's Motel 6 sixth man. Max Bielfeldt, the only senior on this Michigan squad. Got off to a good start, but hasn't scored in this second half.
And I think that's been one of the problems for Michigan. In the first half, they had 8 points from Donnell and Bielfeldt, two of their inside guys. Nothing from those guys here in the second half. Everything with that, the exception of that drive by Abdur-Rahman, has been out on the perimeter.
Bielfeldt not the only contributor off of the bench. 16-2. Michigan's bench outscoring Rutgers' bench.
And one of the issues for Michigan, Derek Walton only has 2 points, and you would expect him to be a big offensive factor, and Albrecht has yet to score in the game.
Those 2 points for Walton have come on free throws. 0 for 5 from the field.
All of his field goal attempts have been 3-point shots.
Daniels gets cut off. Now it's Kone with a nice up fake. His first points of the game extends the Rutgers lead to 3. Irvin stepped on the sideline. Kone known more for his defense, but a nice looking take and finish here.
Well, he takes the ball inside against Lonergan and really keeps his balance very well. That's what they need from him, is driving the ball to the goal.
Rutgers by 3 inside of 10 minutes. Wisconsin and Iowa and a big one tonight. Maryland and Indiana and a big one on Thursday. A log jam up near the top of the standings. 4 teams with 1 loss, several more with 2 losses as we work into the back half of January. Here's Daniels going hard to the bucket and getting Foreman a chance to head to the line for 2 shots. Yes.
Donnell tried to step in there and take the charge. Michigan showing some pressure, and Rutgers doing a great job attacking the pressure. Bishop Daniels is able to jump around that attempt to take the charge, and Foreman, he's had a couple of offensive rebounds here in this half. Oof, ooh, my. Now he's got to develop that shot, because that's like an end of the game shot when you're trying to miss it and make the ball come right back to you.
Yeah, keep that one in your holster until you need it, though. Following on Chapman.
Now 5 offensive rebounds here so far in the second half for Rutgers, and I think that's been a big factor as well.
They've missed 5 free throws, though. The lead is 4 with 9:15 left.
Now remember, we talked about Michigan being a team that is subject to long scoring droughts, where they're in the middle of one now.
Donnell, too strong with the 3. We also talked about him being a streaky team from 3. Right now struggling from outside.
Every team is a streaky team from 3.
Good point. Just some rely on it more than others. Michigan relies on it as much as anybody.
Well, they really don't have any guys out there right at the moment who are people you can expect to put the ball down on the deck and take it into traffic and score.
They've gone 4 for 18 as a team from 3. Shot clock inside of 10. Mack against Albrecht. Puts it on the floor. Gets inside. Leaves it for the Foreman slam.
Great contributions for Foreman off the bench. He's got 5 points, all of them in the second half.
Walton dipped the shoulder. Found Dawkins straight away 3. Foreman goes up for the rebound. Mack is loose. Albrecht able able to track down the miss. 15-2 Rutgers run to bring this crowd to life. Dawkins with a big three.
Boy, that is a big three, and it was a confident shot by a young man who just missed a three-point basket. He's got 11 in the game now. What a big shot in a big situation.
First Michigan player into double figures.
And how big is that? Mack misses the wide open three, and then Dawkins makes it.
6-point swing. 7.5 left. Walton closes out on Mack, who thinks better of launching from 25 feet.
Mack only 3 for 10.
Leans into Dawkins. Earning the foul and a trip to the stripe. Or 2 shots. 6th all-time meeting between these teams. Rutgers trying to beat Michigan for the very first time. Basketball on BTN is presented by Quicken Loans for mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze. And brought to you in part by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. Time for our motorist insurance drive to the hoop. Miles Mack drawing the defense and finding 4.
This is really a nice play by Mack. He gets around his man. Foreman just steps to the open spot when he sees Dawkins go for the block. Nobody rotates down to help out. But Dawkins has the response with Michigan down by 6 and appearing to be in deep, deep trouble. Dawkins drills the 3, his 2nd of the game. You know, we talked about guys who had to step up. Dawkins has 11 points. He's got 3 rebounds.
The only Michigan player in double figures with his 11 points. And Miles Mack heads back to the stripe. 11 tied with Kadeem Jack. Go figure for the team lead. That's how it's been much of the season. Those 2 guys have accounted for more than half of the team's scoring over the last 3 games.
But part of the problem for Michigan, if you're going to try to have a comeback on the road and the opposition has Miles Mack, it's going to be very difficult because Mack is a guy, he can shoot that 3. We just showed you he can get into the lane for the pass or the score, and he's an excellent free throw shooter.
And as you've said several times, Michigan right now is without a guy who can really go get you points, bring you back in a game where you've got a significant deficit. Only down 5 right now inside of 7 minutes. And Albrecht on a nice take for his first bucket of the night.
They drop back into that 2-3 zone.
Here's Jack. Sills one for Mack, who's able to recover. Jack from a tough angle, finds Mack again. Hop steps inside, has it taken away by Walton, and then compounds the issue by picking up the foul. On to the 3rd team foul of this half. Mack's 2nd.
Very good defense that time in a help situation by Michigan. That zone closed up around Mack when he got inside.
The zone has got Michigan into a couple of games. A couple of weeks ago against Minnesota, went to that 1-3-1 and raised a big deficit. And then against Northwestern on Saturday, shut down Alex Ola in the 2nd half by going to that same zone, trying to get back into this one. Down 3 with 6 minutes left.
Got to get Irvin involved.
They try to, and he nearly throws it away.
And he doesn't necessarily need to score, but he's got to draw the defense's attention and either score himself or create opportunities for others. He's got to be a guy who's looking for the ball.
Walton left alone, and he knocks down a 3 to tie the game inside of 6 minutes.
His first basket of the game.
After hitting a career-high 4 threes on Saturday, picked a good time to knock down his first one tonight. Sixth time we've been tied. Back and forth we've gone. This Big Ten matchup.
Well, really trying to be conscious of the presence of Mack out on the perimeter.
Here's Foreman inside the zone, getting fouled by Donnell. DJ Foreman head of the line for 2 shots. Walton tying the game with his first bucket.
Well, we're talking about somebody from Michigan needing to step up and make the play, and there's Walton. He's been limping around. on that bad foot for 12 or 13 games now, but he made a big basket right there. That foot problem, we said, has cut down on his quickness. He can't quite get to the basket the same way, but that was a big jump shot.
Foreman 1 of 3 at the line. The Rutgers as a team today below 50%.
Well, Foreman on the season only 28% coming in from the line.
0 of 2 on that trip. Donnell a good box out for the Michigan rebound. High game, 5:15 left to go at the rack. Walton stop and start. Irvin is open. That popped up. Mack pulls down the rebound.
It's a good look.
Jack travel. Some indecision off of the feed from Mack.
Well, that's really tough to ask your big guy to catch the ball on the run, on the wing like that with defense coming at him.
It's only the 9th Rutgers turnover after they, remember, turned it over 19 times on Saturday in the loss in Minnesota. Here's Walton. Got loose with the dribble. They better recover against Daniels.
He just can't get past him. Doesn't really have that burst.
Irvin left alone. Can't get the roll, and a foul on the rebound goes on Rutgers. Looks like they'll get Kone.
No, it's actually Jack
for his 3rd.
Well, you credit that one to Donnell. He did a nice job getting inside. That's 3 fouls now on Kadeem Jack.
Albrecht comes back in, replacing Abdur Rahman, and Bielfeldt replaces Donnell for Michigan. John Beilein has gone 11 deep in this game. First one without Karis LeVert. Trying to discover the right mix once again. Walton for 3. His second in a row, and Michigan takes the lead outside of 4 minutes.
You know, it's amazing. They shoot so many of those threes, and when they go in, they look really good.
He missed his first 5. He's hit his last 2. Rutgers trying to penetrate the zone with Jack. Albrecht tight on Mack. Kone put it on the floor. Foreman dribbled it off his foot. And Rutgers turns it over for the 10th time today.
And the 3-point basket, Michigan relies on it, and it really helps them when they go in the basket. And Derek Walton, we've been talking about who's going to make plays for Michigan. Well, Walton just takes the ball, bangs it home. The Wolverines up by 3.
Mike, Michigan trying to navigate its way through a crowded top half of the Big Ten. 4 teams with 1 loss. Michigan one of 3 teams with 2 losses. And tonight playing their first game without their top player, Karis LeVert, who played the entire game Saturday against Northwestern, but was hurt on the game's final play. The left side of your screen goes up for that rebound. Comes down on a foot that he already had surgery on this past spring. It was a clean break this time, and he's done for the season. So John Beilein once again back to the drawing board, having to figure out the right mix of things to replace LeVert. And they've been tested tonight by Rutgers, but with an 8-0 run, have a 3-point lead with 3:40 left.
And it's interesting, they didn't expect one guy to replace the contributions that LeVert made. They needed a little bit more from everybody else, and they've gotten that. They've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys play more than 10 minutes. And they've had 9 guys score points.
They've had Aubrey Dawkins, a first-time starter, lead them with 11. Walton's got 8. So does Irvin. We wind down inside of 3.5 minutes.
And Walton's been the guy here recently.
Finds Albrecht for 3. Bielfeldt the offensive rebound, and Dawkins smartly refuses to pull the trigger, so Michigan can run some more clock.
That is Bielfeldt's 4th offensive rebound of this game, 8 total rebounds.
And it leads to his 3. which gives Michigan a 6-point lead on an 11-0 run.
Well, he's now got 8 points and 8 rebounds in the game. What a tremendous contribution.
You said it. It was his offensive rebound that led to that opportunity. Mike Williams almost banks in a three. Scoreless tonight and stays that way.
And Bielfeldt, you're talking about guys stepping up. Bielfeldt coming in, averaging 3 points and 2 rebounds a game. As we said, he's got 8 and 8 tonight.
John Beilein pressing the right buttons tonight. First game without LeVert. Trying to get Michigan its 4th win out of the last 5.
All right, you got to dig in here on defense if you're Rutgers.
Because on offense, they've gone silent without a bucket over the last 7 minutes. Shot clock down to 5. Walton works inside. Runner won't go. Bielfeldt tipped it around, and Jack found it. Poole and B for Rutgers. Daniels finding Jack. A fadeaway. Got it. Big shot, Kareem Jack.
Really nice job by Daniels, causing the defense to collapse toward the baseline and creating the open opportunity for Jack.
First field goal for Rutgers since the 9:04 mark, and snaps an 11-0 Michigan run.
Michigan cannot be passive here.
And the foul. What a nice job by Walton to earn it against Lewis.
Albrecht with the jump shot, and there's Bielfeldt with that rebound, and that leads to the 3-point shot. He gets the rebound and then gets himself in position at the top of the key. But here's Bishop Daniels. We talked about the fact that he gets down the court quickly, starts the offense, and that allows Kareem Jack to follow along with that little fadeaway jump shot.
Rutgers' foul was only the 6th. Michigan will shoot the rest of the way, but it did reset the shot clock, and the Wolverines can run it inside of a minute if they choose.
And I think they will choose to do exactly that. This is a hard thing to do, though, to hang on to the ball and then score at the end of the shot clock.
Especially when you're without the guy that normally would be the guy you'd go to in this situation.
They don't have LeVert, and he's their end of the shot clock guy. He dribbled out of bounds.
He did. With a minute 3, Rutgers takes it down 2 possessions.
Well, Walton has been trying to do everything, but he just stepped right on the S there of Rutgers. Really nice job by Mike Williams to cut him off. Now, can Rutgers get a score?
Only 1 bucket over the last 8+ minutes.
Like to get a score quickly so Michigan can't hold on to it.
Right through Jack's hands.
I think he was going to the basket before he caught it. Now I think he got a foul.
And they do foul Walton, who's an 81% free throw shooter coming in. No, they got it to the guy they wanted to.
Well, and they got it to the place they wanted, right in the middle of that zone, and he was turning to go to the basket before he caught the ball.
Well, they had the wrong foul count on the board. They had 6 up. That was actually number 6. So the next foul will send Michigan to the line. Not the guy you want to foul here. He's made both attempts today, above 80% in the season. And Michigan will try to ride the foul line to seal in the deal.
And this is a good job by Walton to hang on to the basketball. He, as you mentioned, he is a tremendous free throw shooter. 82% on the season. This is the guy you want at the line.
Michigan 7 of 9 as a team today. Rutgers, meanwhile, 7 of 14. There's your difference right now. Derek Walton, who missed his first 5 shots today, has hit a couple of big threes in this second half. And moves into double figures, putting Michigan in front by 6 with 40 seconds.
Well, you have to admire his toughness. You just watch him as he leaves the free throw line and goes back up the court. There's a little bit of a limp in that step, but you certainly couldn't tell it when you're watching him play.
Yeah, played all 40 minutes on Saturdays, played most of the game today.
How about that?
Beautiful ball handling, but Daniels can't finish.
Now Walton's just going to hang on to it.
He'll head back to the line for a 1-and-1. Michigan in front by 6 and 32 seconds left. Aubrey Dawkins didn't do a ton down the stretch, but that performance in the first half earns him tonight's Quicken Loans amazing performance. You talked about it, you and I talked about it this afternoon while we were at Shooter on how important it would be for Michigan to get off to a decent start. And Aubrey Dawkins helped them do that. They weren't great, but they were okay.
Well, the other thing that Aubrey Dawkins did at the point in the game when Michigan just could not buy a basket, they were down 4. He had missed a three-point shot. He got another opportunity. He knocked it down. I think that was one of the key baskets of the game. And Michigan has never really looked back since that point.
Yeah, had a big 3 during that 11-0 Michigan run.
Well, they were down 40 to 34, and Mack just missed a 3 on the other end that could have put Rutgers up by 9. And then Dawkins hit that one. It was 40 to 37, and the Wolverines have never looked back.
There's a 3 from Daniels. Still a 15-5 Michigan run. And 25 seconds in a 5-point game. Inbounded to Irvin, who is a pretty good foul shooter as well. 75% on the year.
Well, we talked about guys having to make plays, and sometimes the plays you have to make are from the free throw line. You get yourself to the line and make shots.
9th foul. So 1-and-1 for Irvin. Rutgers not out of this yet with 24 seconds.
Particularly not with a guy like Mack.
But Michigan clutched down the stretch from the foul line. Irvin had those 2 fouls in the first half that limited him to just 4 minutes. He's played some big minutes in this second half. Makes both here. 9 points for him. Stillfeld takes her seat. Back into the game comes Donnell.
And here's a 1-3-1 zone. Showing trap.
Daniels airballs a 3. Williams finds it. He'll launch. And Albrecht whips it down to the other end of the floor. Pretty smart play knowing his team's up 7.
Just get away now.
Mack will shoot and hit, but it doesn't matter with 1 second left. All Michigan has to do is inbound it and hold on for its 4th win out of its last 5. But this one with an asterisk by it. First one without Karis LeVert. Michigan moves to 12-7 on the season. And 5-2 in Big Ten play. And that decisive run went on a 15-2 run to take control. The Wolverines win at 54-50. Coming up next on Big Ten Network, it's Minnesota and Nebraska. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of the Big Ten Network. For Dan Bronner and the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from Piscataway. The studio will have you in just a bit.